It is 2:13 in the morning. You are in your apartment in the middle of winter, and the power suddenly goes out. The room sinks into a suffocating silence, and the coat you hung in the corner, in the dim darkness, suddenly looks exactly like the silhouette of a person standing there. You know clearly that it is just a coat. You hung it up yourself. You even recognize the familiar fold on the sleeve. However, your body has automatically voted against your reason. Your heart rate accelerates. Your shoulders tense up. Your eyes are glued to that dark shadow without looking away. Congratulations. Your nervous system has just successfully turned a harmless pile of clothes into a dangerous intruder. Then you reach out and turn on your phone flashlight. The intruder instantly reveals its true form as a pile of polyester fabric. The monster reverts to being furniture, and your dignity quietly leaves the room. But why does the body react even before reason has a chance to speak up? Why can a rational adult, protected by solid locks, concrete walls, an electrical grid, and dozens of screen devices all around, still feel an ancient warning bell ringing in their head, telling them that something is out there? The simplest answer is this. Humans have never really feared darkness itself. Darkness does not bite. It does not attack us. But it does something much more useful for dangers. It hides information. To understand this strange reaction of the body, we need to understand what darkness really is. First, darkness is not an object or some kind of substance. It is a shortage. A shortage of light photon particles, a shortage of edges, colors, distances, and even reliable answers. During the day, your vision provides your brain with a rich stream of data. The brain can easily determine that is a branch. That movement over there is caused by the wind. That animal is still very far away. But sinking into the deep night, that exact same world sends back a much poorer signal. You still receive information, but it is slower, grainier, and severely lacking in accuracy. This is extremely important because your brain is not a passive camera waiting for a complete picture. The brain is a prediction machine. It continuously collects the fragmented pieces of information, slipping through the eyes, combines them with memories, expectations, and the current context to make the best guess about what exists out there. That is why darkness brings the feeling that someone is lurking. Your room has not grown a new monster. What it has just lost is an explanation. Your eyes truly have the ability to switch modes to adapt to low light. But this adaptation always comes with a price to pay. In bright light conditions, the cone cells in the eyes work exhaustively to support colors and sharp details. But when the light decreases, the rod cells start taking the night shift. Rod cells are extraordinarily sensitive. They can help you detect massive shapes and faint movements even when the cone cells have completely given up. However, vision under extremely dim light conditions, also known as scotopic vision, has a much lower sharpness, is almost colorless, and processes more sluggishly. In other words, your eyes are doing something impressive and frustrating at the same time. They can report to you that something just moved, but are completely powerless in determining what that thing is. That information gap is exactly when the overnight creative department of the brain takes the throne. A fluttering curtain turns into a human shadow. A branch scratching against the glass door turns into ghostly fingernails. A raccoon walking past the window is upgraded into an organized burglar. Darkness does not create fear by exposing a clear danger. It creates the conditions in which eliminating the danger is impossible. But why does the brain love creating these false alarms so much? Let us try to compare two mistakes that you could make. In the first mistake, you hear a rustling sound. You assume it is a predator and panic and run away. But it turns out to just be the sound of the wind blowing through the grass. You waste a little energy and look slightly silly. In the second mistake, you are certain it is just the wind. But in reality, it is a predator. If you make this mistake, you will never have the chance to learn from experience again. Natural selection does not need a perfect alarm system. It needs an alarm system where the price of a mistake is much cheaper than silence. Therefore, in conditions lacking information, a nervous system that tends to be overly sensitive and leans towards guarding against threats brings a massive survival advantage. Fear is not a court verdict. It does not require convincing evidence beyond all reasonable doubt. It is an emergency recommendation issued before all the evidence can be fully gathered. That speed explains why your body reacts to the coat even before your consciousness has a chance to speak up and reassure you. Psychologists make a very clear distinction between immediate fear facing a clear danger and a diffuse state of anxiety. A snake appearing right before your eyes provides fear with a specific object. But darkness creates anxiety. The environment is sending out a signal that a danger might exist, but does not tell you where it is, what it is, or when it will appear. That uncertainty is exactly what makes us the most afraid. To understand deeper, we need to place this reaction into the evolutionary context, when humans were not yet the predator at the top of the food chain. Our ancestors had to share their habitat with large cat species, hyenas, snakes, crocodiles, and even rival human groups. Intelligence and collective living did not make them completely immune to carnivorous species. Limited night vision made it difficult for humans to detect danger, while many predatory species possessed excellent stalking abilities in the dark. We do not have evidence to say that a specific leopard attack created the fear of darkness gene. Science does not operate in such a neat way. What is more reasonable is this: the nighttime stalking, the poor vision of humans, coupled with the overly expensive price of missing a threat, created a prolonged ecological pressure, and we do not need to time travel back to the past to prove this. A modern study on lions and human attacks in Tanzania has shown how darkness truly changes the survival equation. The data indicates that lions forage more effectively on dark nights. For humans, the most dangerous time frame is not the full moon night, but the evenings right after the full moon phase, when the moon rises later and the first few hours after sunset sink into darkness. The attack rate in the early evening was 2 to 4 times higher during the 10 days after the full moon compared to the 10 days before it. Darkness is not the attacker, it is the veil. And our nervous system does not need to understand lunar ecology to learn a simple rule: when visibility collapses, caution is the cheapest price to pay. This explains an interesting phenomenon regarding folktales. The moon, the edge of the deep forest, or invisible creatures are not random decorative items. They are puzzle pieces of a real ecological problem, later molded by culture into witches, evil spirits, and monsters. But the interesting thing is, this alarm system will still automatically turn on even when you carry the lion out of the room. In a controlled experiment in the year 1997, participants were made to hear sudden sounds during alternating light and dark intervals. The sounds were exactly the same. The room was completely safe. However, darkness increased the intensity of the startle reflex, which was measured through the blinking movement. A subsequent study in the year 2008, using a virtual reality environment, also discovered a stronger startle response in the dark segments. This shows that light itself can alter the physiological defensive state of the body. That is why telling yourself that you know full well there is nothing there cannot always dispel that chilling feeling. Knowledge and the state of defensive readiness are related, but not identical. Fear needs a clear threat, but anxiety can live perfectly fine on just a possibility that could happen. So, if this alarm system has been around since ancient times, why does it usually manifest most strongly in children? That is because childhood is a perfect combination of a rich imagination and an incredibly limited ability to control the environment. When it is bedtime, children are separated from their caregivers, forced to lie still, and placed into an environment severely lacking in information. A noise out in the hallway cannot be easily verified. The person holding the fewest factual data points is precisely the person with the least power to go investigate them. The less information and the less control there is, the easier it is for insecurity to rise. In a study in the Netherlands on 176 children from 4 to 12 years old, up to 73.3% reported that they had nighttime fears. A notable thing is that children often attribute that fear to negative information, things they have watched, read, or been told, instead of direct, terrifying experiences. This is a breakthrough point that helps debunk a common misconception. Children do not drag out a genetic memory of being pounced on by a monster in order to be afraid. The process of evolution does not store a detailed picture of a leopard in our heads. Evolution shapes attention, the startle reflex, and caution. And culture and family are the ones that provide the specific shape for that monster. This child fears a ghost. Another fears a thief. Yet another child fears a creature from a YouTube video they just watched this afternoon. The core structure remains unchanged. Darkness erases the evidence, imagination fills the void, and the warning system automatically bets on the absolute worst possibilities. Every culture has different nighttime stories. These stories teach us which places are dangerous, but at the same time, they also turn an unclear danger into a supernatural character with a name. Learning from culture does not mean that the fear is fake. A learned alarm can still produce a pounding heartbeat and a desire to run away. And fortunately, because it can learn danger, The nervous system can also completely relearn the feeling of safety through repeated experiences. Limited vision creates uncertainty. Ancient dangers make caution become invaluable. Experience fine-tunes the alarm, and culture gives darkness a face. And then, a monumental event occurred. Humans brought certainty into the dark night. We had fire. Archaeological evidence at Wonderwork Cave in South Africa in the year 2026 shows repeated, structured burning periods, located deep about 30 meters inside the cave, in sedimentary layers dating from about 1.07 to 1.79 million years ago. Finding traces of fire does not equate to our ancestors having completely mastered how to create fire or cook regularly, but it proves one thing. Fire pushed back the boundary of darkness. Fire brought light, warmth, and could help drive away some predatory species. More importantly, it turned darkness from an absolute overarching state into a boundary line. Inside the circle of light are faces, voices, and community cohesion. Outside that boundary are the unknowable things. The night gained a new personality. It is both a time of danger and a time of stories, a place where we invent explanations to soothe our very own fears. Today, darkness is usually much less dangerous. Although a dark road can still hide a pothole or an oncoming vehicle, the biggest mismatch appears when the alarm system reacts more strongly than what reality requires. Electricity and artificial light have changed our living environment much faster than the evolutionary speed of the nervous system. Your conscious mind completely understands secure door locks and LED lighting. But your defense system still operates according to a simple prehistoric survival rule. Vision decreases, uncertainty increases, high vigilance. Fear is not completely irrational. Its rationality depends on the context. Vigilance on a dark forest road is useful, but panicking at a coat in the bedroom is not. The question here is not whether this alarm system is silly or not, but whether the current room still justifies its existence. Let us return to the coat in the corner of the room. You proactively reach out, turn off the light switch. The shape of the coat once again becomes suspicious. But this time, you clearly understand the mechanism taking place. We are not afraid because the darkness is empty. We are afraid because, to the brain, emptiness is a form of incomplete information. Turn the light on, and the monster reverts to being a coat. Turn the light off, and the coat instantly becomes a giant question mark. For the vast majority of human history, treating that question mark seriously was exactly the way for our ancestors to be able to see many more of the following mornings. And now, you know the truth as to why. Are you still wondering why? The evolutionary journey still has countless spectacular deceptions and bizarre truths that history books have never told you. If you find decoding these things interesting, do not forget to leave a like and subscribe for Why So. Your support is the biggest motivation for us to continue peeling back the next mysterious question marks of humanity. See you again in future videos.